Hey guys, welcome back to yet another video on me learning how to W key. This is episode number 6, and this is the series where I W key in Arena and we break it down together. My own gameplay, by the way. We break it down together and make sure that we learn as much as possible from my mistakes and my victories. So here we go, let's get right into it. So to break down the first fight, I mean, this is just really obvious at this point. Like, my spacing in this fight is completely off. I went way too deep, way too fast without getting any sort of initial damage. And this is the mistake that I made. Even though I won, it's very clear that this fight was very coin flip, right? It's very 50-50 and it's easily avoidable. If I did something like this instead, it would have gone much better. The spacing between me and my enemy here is the problem. Instead of going so deep, I could have kept a wall between me and my enemy, and that way I have edit privileges to create an advantageous peak for myself. And that way, if I make a peak and miss my shot, I can immediately just reset and hold the wall and nothing wrong has happened. So I'm not fully committing. I should only fully commit once I've created a huge HP advantage for myself. But in this fight, I've just ran in. It's just completely wrong. So definitely looking to fix that for next time. In this fight right here, I spot someone at doghouse, but I waste a decent amount of time just running around and not doing much at all. Like, I should be pressuring much faster. Like, we have to understand that people in arena we're humans, right? We're not robots. The faster the pressure is, the more likely they are to panic and get shaky, right? It's really important that I don't, take my time here. Obviously, there's no point in pressuring really fast if you do it wrong. Like, if you're just pressuring on not on a right-hand peak or in a safe way, then obviously it's not a good idea. But if I find a way to pressure fast and doing it correctly at the same time, it's really important. And notice, I'm also wasting a lot of time by taking this wall and then missing the edit twice. So this needs to be smoothed out. This needs to be fixed, particularly in my gameplay, is my edit accuracy. This has been a problem for a long time, and there's ways to fix this in creative and also in arena as well. So definitely looking to fix those sorts of things. But what I do well is the fact that I make a peak. However, the fact that I don't do it fast enough is not good enough for me. I definitely want to make sure that I pressure fast, and fight needs to be much cleaner. This is an off-spawn fight. I land gas station in the middle of the map, and I actually land on this side because we do have the vending machine advantage, which most likely will spawn minis for me, which is really advantageous off spawn. Like, having more health than the opponent, it doesn't necessarily even matter if you don't have a shotgun, which of course, I definitely don't. But in this case, I hit this guy for 60 white through the window, which is a really good angle. The thing remains is the most important thing that I need to do here is just pressure and not let him heal up. The fast pressure is a key thing to do to make sure your opponent makes mistakes, right? Again, I repeat, we're humans. If we pressure really fast and you do it in a good way where you don't get shot back, it's important to realize that these people will panic. They will mess up, right? What do you think is going through this guy's head when I hit him 60 white right off the rip? Like, he's panicking, right? He's worried. So definitely look to pressure fast after a hit and make sure you don't give up those opportunities because they may not come again in that fight. In this fight, I'm farming my wood because I want to increase my mat count, but notice the way I'm farming it. I'm looking towards where I know there's an enemy because I've seen one here before. So this way, I'm able to keep track of what he's doing and whether he's looking at me. And immediately as he's looking at me, we trade one AR shot each. And then after that, I right-hand peek my ramp to get 4 more shots on the opponent. Now, same thing as the other fight. So what do you think is the most important thing here to do, right? It's to W key. Like, I hard need to pressure this guy. This guy should not be allowed to breathe. Like, you need to be in that mentality when you get a beam like this, right? First of all, I mean, the fact that I got the beam in the first place, I really want you guys to pay attention to that because a lot of your enemies are doing the same thing. They're running across the map without actually building and covering themselves well. You have opportunities to beam them as well. Now the question is, are you going to punish them for that mistake, right? So jumping on that mistake and punishing them for the fact that they're not building properly is really important. You'll be so surprised, so surprised how many people don't actually build properly when they're running across or trying to traverse to get to you, get into shotgun range. So you can actually punish them a lot. Like, I swear every player that I run into in arena has this problem. Now let's talk about this. I almost make a wide edit here, but instead of making a wide edit, I stop myself and make a window edit. It's very key that I stop myself here because, although he is low, if I miss my shot and then he hits me for 100 or 150, then it's really tough, right? Because now I've lost my entire advantage. But instead, I make a window edit and properly right-hand peek him, which creates a situation where I'm able to clean up the fight properly without taking any unnecessary damage back, right? It's really important that even if you have a huge HP advantage, that if you see an opportunity to make a peek, that you just do it. You want to save as much shield as possible, right? It's not just about winning the fight, it's about putting yourself in a good position after the fight as well to make sure, hey, I don't want to have to pop this extra one big that I have, right? Like, I don't have much shield here. It's really important that I conserve my HP. If this guy hits me 100 and then I get the siphon, I'm not full HP. You have to notice that. That's a really important thing. So end your fights cleanly, make sure you're doing it fundamentally and not, messing up unnecessarily. Right here, I'm driving in a car, but I notice there's a guy behind me, so I get out and go for a cheeky pump shot, which allows me to get information that this guy actually has no shield. So obviously, same situation. Even though I hit him for 28 HP, I hit him for 28 white, which means I have a huge HP advantage. Like, I know he's low on HP, which means I need a pressure. Same thing as the other fights. It's really important that I end fights cleanly and fast so that third parties don't come in, and in general, I just don't waste a lot of time. I pressure him hard, get the wall, make a window at it, and end the fight. Right here, there's a guy above me, which creates a situation where he has height and I don't have height. We don't have an HP discrepancy, right? So we both are the same HP. However, it's very obvious in this sort of situation that although my pickaxe swings are a little inaccurate, this guy's intentions are very clear. When he runs at the wall like this, it's very obvious, very obvious what he wants to do. I'm able to go for a really free shot on my opponent without taking any damage in return. This is really important because this is where the HP advantage comes in. Now I'm ahead on HP, which means I need to pressure, so I piece control to end the fight quickly, and I pump AR the stair and I end the fight. Here, I notice a fight happening, so I just launch pad onto the fight, because pads in Arena don't really matter to me. There's no end game happening, so I just use it to get to fights faster and get more fighting experience. And here, it's really important that I try to aggress, because I know this is a third party. Like there's been a fight here. Now, there's no guarantee that this guy who's left over is actually weak at all on HP, but there is a chance, right? Because he's just been in a fight, and more likely than not, he is hurt. So let's look to make a fight. However, another person joins the fight, and this is where it gets dicey. It gets into a situation where a 50-50 is sort of like happening, and I just want to get out, right? Because I don't want the 50-50. So I get away from that tile and make a wall between us and right hand peek to get a lot of damage on him without taking damage in return. Try to full box him here. He gets out. I don't think I placed the cone on top of that. That must have been the issue. But he launch pads away, which I totally don't agree with. He should have low padded or just like dropped from height. But either way, I clean up the kill, and it's very easy from there. So next kill right away, right? It's the same clip. There's another guy below me. It's probably this original guy. This guy makes the mistake of trying to hold the wall. And obviously, this is not a good idea to do in Fortnite. This is so outdated. You never want to hold your wall because of the chance that your opponent can get it. So either you make one of the two options. When your opponent first swings on your wall, you either expand out in the opposite direction or you go for an edit right away. This is very important, right? If you hold your wall, you are most likely going to die because you're not getting any benefit from doing that, right? There's no aggressive counterplay, or, you know, in the case that he does get the wall, you're just going to die. Yeah, you're just going to take damage. So that option just sucks. Do not do that option. I mean, this is a clear example of why you should not do that option of holding the wall. Either way, another guy pulls up, and then I do a little bit of a height retake to get height, and then work my way down to fight him, and I do a little bit of piece control to try to get to him, and I do a lot of initial damage, right? So now it's, again, same thing. It's very important that I aggress, because I just did a lot of damage to this guy. That's around 150 without taking damage in return. This is the time where I need to end the fight fast and cleanly. And piece control, even though mine's not the best, is a really good tool to make sure that you can do that. In the very next fight, I snipe someone off the build fight that I was in previously, and then I look to take this wall like this. This is a really strong angle, and if you're worried about the enemy editing from above, like maybe through his own cone, then you can just put walls here, like so. And it's really easy for you to block him off and keep going for that wall safely, alright? However, I make the mistake of going through his builds, the enemy builds, to continue pursuing him, and this is not a good idea, because he makes a edit and catches me off guard, and this is where I need to be careful, like, because I just wasted all my momentum. Now, that advantage that I previously had is wasted. That's completely gone. It's reset. Now I have to heal, and in the time that I'm healing, he's also going to heal. So now we're back to even, right? Either way, I take another bad angle, get hit for 50, and again, I'm losing. Like, I'm losing this fight because of the fact that I'm taking a lot of damage without doing damage in return. These are where peaks and angles come into play if you want to do damage without taking damage in return. However, I do a pretty bad job in this fight of doing that. Now I have to pop another big, but notice how I don't greed. I don't need to fight him right now. I'm losing on HP. I'm worse. He has an advantage. So I'm just going to pop the big and get my HP back up, and then maybe look to aggress him, right? Later on, I aggress him, we trade evenly, and then I do the power angle again, and then end the fight. I will mention that I didn't realize that my shotgun was empty on ammo, so I definitely need better awareness there as well. In this fight, I'm a little distance from my opponent, but we close the gap. I get height, I get a little bit of a cheeky 40 damage shot, and then I look to aggress, because again, I'm slightly winning on HP, so I should totally aggress, and I have height. We haven't talked about that advantage as well. But here, I do the stair edit, which allows me to spray at my opponent's floor without a second layer on top, which means I might get the chance to bleed some bullets through and catch him off guard, and also extend my lead. If I get 1 or 2 more AR tags on this opponent, I might justify jumping in his box. Like, this is the way you want to extend your lead. But the most important thing that I'm doing here is I'm preventing him from healing at all, right? So I'm definitely looking to do this, but I have to be careful of his option of pre-firing. He could pre-fire through the spray and do a little bit of a spray return on me, so I gotta watch out for that. But other than that, I just keep pressuring him, right? Do not let him heal. This advantage that I have is going to stick. That's something really important, right? So I keep pressuring, he keeps eventually dropping, but then I get this really nice angle where I'm able to catch him off guard and then keep up the pressure. So notice how good this window peak is, but then notice how bad the finish is. The finish is horrible. This is definitely the same situation as that first clip, where I should have spaced myself further and not forced a 50-50 like I did, and be aware of the fact that my opponent can break the wall after I edit, right? Editing the wall makes it super weak, and if he breaks it unexpectedly, that's sort of how the 50-50s, the unwanted 50-50s sort of start in your fights. So if you really want to prevent those, be a little bit more careful about when your wall is weak, and this is what I should have done. I should have been a little bit more aware of that sort of situation and spaced myself a little further. So that's the end of the video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I really want to make sure that you guys understand the very important ideas throughout this video, right? Number one, when you get an HP advantage, pressure hard and pressure fast, and do it in a way that is correct so that you're not losing your HP advantage that you had in the first place. Number two, the faster you pressure, the more likely your opponent is to panic. You have to remember that they're not robots, they're human, and the faster you pressure, especially if you hit them white or anything, they're most likely going to get the shakes and be very uncomfortable and make a lot of misplays. So you can actually take advantage of that, and being a little bit more confident when you have an HP advantage is going to help that situation a lot. So try that out in your own arena fights and tell me how it goes. So the most important thing that I learned is the fact that my edit accuracy needs to be improved, and sometimes I make misplays which loses me my initial HP advantage that I had and loses all the momentum in the fight. So I definitely need to fix that as well and take the approaches definitely fast but in a correct manner, right? You can do fast and correct at the same exact time. You know, just because you're fast doesn't necessarily mean that you're doing it wrong. Either way, thank you again for watching the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.